Hello guys, welcome to, well, it's Microsoft Flight Simulator, but also X-Plane 11 later on. Now, I know this is a bit of a contentious sort of discussion, and I'm doing this as a bit of fun, but what I'm going to do is fly the same flight with pretty much the same weather conditions in both sims. Now, this isn't particularly a scientific experiment or anything like that. This is just me enjoying both sims exactly how they are on my PC, and I'm going to kind of just have a conclusion at the end of which flight I preferred. It's going to be a really good one actually. We're going to go from Italy, in fact we're near Milan, and we're going to head to Courchevel in the TBM, and this is the stock TBM in the Microsoft Flight Sim, and I'll be using the Hot Start TBM in X-Plane. So as you can see, I'm not going down the road of just going stock sim versus stock sim, because if I did, quite honestly, Microsoft Flight Simulator would win. Okay, so if you're wondering what my opinion is on that, if you compare both sims together stock, this sim beats it into the ground. Honestly. Oh, here are my passengers for this flight in a very psychedelic bus. Love it. So yeah, this is really kind of just a bit of a fun take on comparing both sims. X-Plane 11 has got tons of add-ons, and Microsoft Flight Simulator is completely stock, so bear that in mind, and yeah, let's go flying. Okay, welcome aboard the TBM. Now this is part of my World Tour series actually. I've been flying all over the place. I'm still in mainland Europe at the moment though. I'm expecting this tour to be... Why did I just put the taxi line before the crash bar? What a noob. Anyway. But yeah, I'm planning on doing this world tour. It'll probably take me a couple of years, no doubt, by the time I've finished, and I'll probably start all over again. Particularly when VR hits as well in a couple of months. So, this will be interesting, because I'm going to do this the same with both the TBM, apart from that stupid little thing I did there. So, we've got the battery on, we've got our ignitions on, and our auxiliary pump on. And then we're going to start. Hold that down for a couple of seconds. Make sure the parking brake is set. Wait till that tops out about 15% or so. And then we're going to introduce low idle, which is a bit tricky. I'll tell you what, I'll do it on my throttle. There we go. That was easier. So now we're checking, making sure the ITT is rising nicely. The NG is behaving itself. Nothing hanging or any hot starts. That's looking good. We're in the green, so we can go to high idle and over the gate. Like so. There we go. At this point we can put inertial separator on. We can go back up here, put our generator on. Ignition's auto. Auxiliary pump to auto. AP trims can come on now, and the fuel select switch can go to auto. Taxi light is already on. Nav light can come on. Come down here again. Bleed air. And bear in mind, guys, this is a slightly different TBM as well. This is a 930 version. Pitot heats can come on before takeoff. Wake up our trim wheel, and our trim indicators down there. That's all good. And yeah, that's fine. Next thing we need to do, in fact, you know what, I'm going to do a pretty simple flight here. Actually, I'm just going to go direct to Courchevel, just to keep things fairly simple for both sims in this case. So, I need to get the code for Courchevel, which I've forgotten, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. It is Lima Foxtrot, Lima Juliet, so we're just going to go direct to it, which will be very simple indeed. So we need to go to select a waypoint, Foxtrot, Juliet. Activate. Cool. Right, oh hello there. Oh, hang on a minute, I think my comms are set to... Yes it is. Go away. We don't want any comms on this flight, to be honest. Although, I mean, we can do that. I suppose in some ways maybe we should do that a little bit, because this is part of the feature set with this new sim. Well, it looks like he wants to push us back, so we'll let him do that then. Means he's already there. I don't want to spoil his moment. Thank you very much. Oh, look at that for a view. Beautiful. You see that, actually, how the suspension kind of, you saw it push down and back up again. In fact, I'll just go a bit closer to it if I can. Look at that. Wow. Very detailed plane indeed, this. Gorgeous. So I've got some views set up here, guys, because we haven't got VR in this. By the way, we will be in VR in X-Plane, simply because it's available at the moment. So that's another reason why this is not a scientific test as such. This is just my enjoyment doing two flights pretty much the same, and at the end I'm going to tell you which one I prefer. Right, let's set this CDI up here to FMS, and what I'll do, guys, is I'll meet you at the end of the runway. So just to let you know, the Courchevel scenery is stock in this sim, but it's one of the handcrafted airports, so it's very nicely modelled anyway. And the one in X-Plane is the Orbex version. In terms of the scenery, I have my own freeware sort of Ortho XP scenery. So we'll be looking at that and actually comparing that to what we see in the stock in Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. So it's going to be an interesting test of sorts, but as I say, I'm not being very strict in terms of sort of, you know, keeping everything exactly the same, because as I've said before, my personal point of view is that if I compared stock X-Plane to stock Microsoft Flight Sim, the only thing going for X-Plane is the fact it's got VR. But apart from that, this is better. But it's when you start loading it with add-ons, that's when things get interesting. Right, let's get our pitot heat enabled. And I think we're out. Yep, we're sorted now. Let's take off and head for a very challenging airport or airfield. Takeoff power is set. Off we go. Okay, trundling down the runway here. You notice how it's quite sloped. All the runways are sloped in this sim. Nice takeoff there, very gradual. Gear coming up, let's have a look outside. That is absolutely gorgeous. Now the reason why I've chose Microsoft Flight Simulator first is because I can go back and use Active Sky to select prehistoric weather, which means I'll be able to use this exact same time of this flight for the weather in X-Plane. Right, looking good. Flaps are now up. Little stutter there. Will do, thank you. And I think we'll just pick up a VFR flight following. Now, just to let you know, guys, Milan is a 3D scanned photogrammic area, and we're going to head right over this particular spot. And I'm going to do the same again in X-Plane. May not be fair, but guys, this is exactly what it's like in terms of features. And I think it's worth highlighting the scenery implementation out of the box in X-Plane. Now, I can tell you for a fact, this will look better than X-Plane. Absolutely. Yes, I heard you. Thank you very much. I'm always getting told off for not listening to air traffic control. Right, let's go outside and enjoy some of the views here of this 3D scanned area. It's stunning. you'll be pleased to know, because actually this is going to take me a few hours to do both flights, but I'm going to edit this together fairly quickly, so that you won't have to watch both flights in their entirety. Hopefully this video will be no longer than about half an hour or so. So what I'll do is I'll see you a bit up the road when we get to the beautiful mountains over here, because at the moment we've got how long have we got here actually? 30 minutes actually before we get there, so I guess it will be about an hour and a half by the time I finish both flights. I'm going to do them back to back as well. That's important. You know, I'm not going to do the X-plane flight in say a couple of days after this video, because then I won't remember how it felt doing this. That is important, I think, because this test is all about how it makes me feel, how these different flight sims make me feel after the flight, and sort of how rewarding it is. Now, you know, you may think Microsoft Flight Simulator has a huge advantage, but actually X-plane does, because it's got VR, and VR rules, guys. It's the best thing ever. So take that into consideration as well, and I'll see you a bit further down the road. Another thing to consider is the frame rate. Now, that's something we can't really assess that much, because I'm going to be in VR in X-plane. But it's worth pointing out that at the moment I'm getting 55 frames per second, and the visuals, as you can see, are probably about 10 times what it is in X-plane. And there's no excuses now, because X-plane has Vulkan. It's now been released, it's public, and if I was in X-plane right now I wouldn't be getting that amount of frames. So I think it's safe to say that Microsoft Flight Simulator is much better optimized, and can the graphics engine, should we call it, is far better at handling all these incredible visuals and eye candy, whilst providing incredible frame rate. And don't forget, guys, this sim is still in its infancy. There'll be plenty of optimizations, particularly before VR is here. I cannot believe what I'm seeing here out the window. It is blowing me away. Let's go in the back. Oh, look at that for a wing view. Screenshot. Screenshot. Well, guys, I'm absolutely blown away. This is just insane. Even with VR, X-plane's got its work cut out here, I tell you that. And that looks like a wall of cloud there. Getting a bit concerned, actually. Oh, we might not even make it. Oh, God, the turbulence now. Hopefully we can get in. But, you know, in real life, if you were doing this and you could see that weather up ahead, you'd be very concerned, and I'm feeling that now. And we have a rainbow. Look at that. That means we've got rain though, so I have to be careful of that. But that is... oh my god. Oh yes. I feel like this sim knows that I'm doing a bit of a comparison video, and it's basically giving me everything it's got. That is really, really spectacular. Anyway, focus. Let's get back on track. Find this airfield. Okay, gear is down, flaps is down. We've got some rain in the area as well, hence the beautiful rainbow. Making a very sharp turn here. This is not the most ideal approach, to be honest. Oh, God. And here we go. The runway is in front of us, but we've got a rain shower, actually. I'm telling you guys, this sim is throwing everything at me because it's determined to be the winner. This is, honestly, I'm totally taken back with this. Right, anyway, concentrate here. I can feel the wind pushing me. And the turbo lag, sorry, the lag of the engine, you've got to be really take that into account. You see how it's starting to rain, a little bit high. Come on, engines to idle. There we go. Reverses, although I think, oh, that is just epic. That is probably one of the most amazing flights I've done in a long time, guys. And look, you've got the rain there on the windshield. And yeah, let's just switch everything off. I don't care about... get the drone out. So there we are. That is flight number 1 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Stock scenery. Stock. I'm just looking at the scenery there. Stock sim. And yeah. Next, we're going to be heading and doing the exact same flight, exact same weather, in a payware aircraft. We're going to be in VR, and let's see how that goes. Oh, look at this. The sound of the wind, the rain. This airfield is gorgeous, by the way. It's a very nice representation of it. And it'll be very interesting to see what this looks like with the payware Orbeck scenery. Anyway, I'll see you in a moment in X-Plane 11, Vulcan. So welcome back, guys. We are now in X-Plane 11 in VR at the very same airport we took off in Microsoft Flight Simulator about 20 minutes ago or whatever it was. Well, in terms of the YouTube video anyway, it was actually about an hour flight that, and I'm expecting the same here. Difference is we've got this payware TBM, which is a $60 add-on. The airport itself is default. We've got GA traffic, thanks to Traffic Global, which again is an add-on. We've got Active Sky Working, that's an add-on. We've got Ortho XP, which is Ortho, which is free, but we're going to be flying into Orbeck's Courchevel later on. I'm going to start this aircraft exactly the same as I did in the Microsoft Flight Sim TBM, which I suppose in itself says a lot, really, because this is a fully fledged study level aircraft. The only difference here is if I don't do this right, we're going to get a hot start or something pretty bad happen. So you really have to pay attention. And just knowing that in itself means that I'm paying attention, and straight away I've realised the door's open. You won't get that in the new Microsoft Flight Sim simply because the doors at the moment, at the time it's recording, don't actually open. Listen to those sounds, gorgeous. So the ITT is rising, the NG is now in the green, so we can go up to high idle. Making sure the torque is behaving itself there. Prop RPM is coming up and we can go over the gate and into, as I say, the high idle position. Inertial separator can come on now. Clear the caution there. Keeping an eye on that start still. The difference here, guys, is that things can go wrong in this aircraft if you don't, you know, do everything by the book, so to speak. So just knowing that makes a huge difference, without a doubt. Right, auxiliaries, auto is before, ignitions, auto, and AP trims. Down here we want our bleed air on. Air conditioning can come on. Leave the pitot heats. Okie dokie, so we're now heading out onto the runway. You can see there's a slope in the runway, just like there was in Microsoft Flight Sim. It feels a lot more pronounced, but that's probably because it's VR as well. We're going to put our flaps down to the takeoff position, and we're going to go for it. Pitot heat coming on. Landing light coming on a bit, a little bit sloppy here, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh wow, no, this runway's ridiculously slopey. Oh, and we'll actually put our headphones in as well. So, just as we did before, we're now going to overfly Milan. Now, of course, this isn't going to be a 3D photogrammic sort of city in X-plane. But as you can see here, the ortho looks really sharp, actually. And does a great job of giving you that sort of 3D illusion. Particularly from sort of about 1,000 feet upwards. Now, for whatever reason, I haven't got any auto-gen in this area, and I don't really know why. But that's, in some ways, the kind of problems you get when you're downloading your own ortho scenery. Things don't always work out, and you get weird problems, like trees in the middle of cities and goodness knows what. But in this case, it looks like I haven't got any buildings in this area. But as I say, it gives us an idea of how crisp that ortho is, and that's. I remember downloading this about zoom level 17, 18 about 2 years ago, and it does stand up pretty well. It looks really nice. But of course, it's nowhere near the sort of level of detail that you get in the new Microsoft Flight Sim out of the box. I mean, it's just obvious, isn't it? But it still looks good. Now, one thing that's so good to see in this new Vulkan release now that it's gone public, is you can see there we've got cloud shadows, and they're not flickering in VR anymore. Oh, that's just honestly wonderful. You can see there the weather just refreshed. We're going to get that a lot, guys, because X-Plane does not have dynamic weather. So we're going to see the clouds doing strange things, and suddenly if there is a new bit of data up ahead, you won't see frontal systems moving in and out. You'll just get a weather refresh. That is a big deal, and that needs to change. It's a massive immersion breaker. Whether you're in VR or not, it ruins your experience. It really does. But yeah, in terms of the cloud shadows, they're looking really nice. The ortho itself is looking very nice. Superb. Right, we'll get back on track. Now, of course, this TBM, this is actually the best GA aircraft that's ever been in terms of sort of just flight dynamics, systems. For general aviation, you cannot get any better than the TBM. So it'd be very unfair to compare this to a stock aircraft. It'd be ridiculous, to be honest. So I'm not going to do that too much. But only just to say that I am very impressed with how how the Microsoft Flight Simulator TBM stacks up to something like this. It's not bad, really. And what that means is an indicator of what will be later on. When A2A get a hold of this flight sim and all the other fantastic developers out there like Just Flight, when they start releasing aircraft, I think they will be at this level of quality for a lot less money. But only time will tell. Anyway, let's just climb up here. We'll go to 10,000 feet actually. Make sure our pressurization is set as well for that. But I guess the question is, will this give me the same wow factor as that flight that we've just done? Only time will tell, guys. I'll see you a little bit further up the road like I did before, when the scenery gets really spectacular. So as I look out at those mountains, in terms of the ortho, it doesn't look quite as good as the Microsoft Flight Sim, but because I'm in VR, they look majestic, absolutely beautiful, and huge, and quite menacing. But there's one thing that's really severely lacking, and you know what I'm going to say, guys, don't you? It's the weather engine. For me personally, and you might differ, but the weather engine in a flight sim has always been one of the most important factors for me. Simply because real pilots, they're obsessed with the weather. They dream about it in their sleep. And we just don't have that. Oh my god, we're getting very close to this mountain. We just don't have, well, until now, that kind of real vulnerability and feeling of experiencing those frontal systems. Wow, we are very close to this mountain here. But, you know, I think really that is my kind of conclusion to this. I think that the stark difference for me, apart from VR obviously, is just the lack of a weather engine. If X-Plane are able to implement some sort of dynamic weather engine, you know, and it's a big ask really, because it needs to be absolutely, you know, stellar, it needs to be brilliant, then, you know, they might be onto something, and I think they'll probably get a lot of us back using the sim again. But oh guys, honestly, VR, as you know, is the only way to fly. And if I had to choose one sim, and guys, thank goodness we don't have to, but if I had to choose one sim, even though X-Plane is looking the way it is, I would definitely choose this sim over the new Microsoft Flight Sim, simply because of VR. But that is going to change quite soon, and it'll be very interesting revisiting this test as we get a horrible weather refresh. But it'll be interesting to revisit this test again using VR in both sims to see how I feel that, you know, once that is all sorted. But you know what, in VR I can really feel the height of being here. It's just wonderful, an amazing experience that no matter how good a flight sim looks and feels, if it's on a monitor, it's never going to be as good as VR. Like now I'm banking here, and you're not going to feel this watching this on YouTube, of course, but right down there is a huge drop, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit of vertigo there, just ever so slightly. And I like it, I love it, I love that feeling, because it's tricking my brain into thinking I'm actually flying this aircraft for real. And when it's all said and done, guys, that is probably the most number one factor when you're pretending to fly, really, is feeling like you are. And for that, X-Plane in VR is the king. For now, anyway. Wow. Very, very nice indeed. Oh my god, here we go. Come on. Getting a bit slow here. Trim. Oh, this is not looking good.
Airspeed.
Come on. Oh, that was a hard landing. That was a hard landing, but yeah, I did better in my first landing, to be honest, but there we are, we're down. And that was really enjoyable, as you'd expect, and just, I think my conclusion is, guys, at the moment X-Plane is definitely the better sim because it has VR. I must say, I'm quite surprised by this, but I think the handcrafted airport looks better in the Microsoft Flight Sim of Courchevel than the Orb X version in X-Plane. I think it just edges it by just a smidge. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What's your impressions as well? You know, you've just watched basically the same flight in two different simulators. What's your impression? Which one do you think is the best? Either way, guys, I'm going to be enjoying both sims for many, many years to come. I think that's really the conclusion here. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.